Oh my gosh, Freekbass. Freekbass, let's talk a little penguin.
Everybody come on, let's get down. Get down.
So we've been saying this for years. Maybe 2025 is the year we finally meet in person and you autograph the music somehow that you gave me for this show.
I love
Like
that.
like something that has our logo on it, and you're the Freekbass, everybody. Author of the amazing and writer of the amazing intro music we just had. And just real quick, Freak, what's going on, dude? You're like king of TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We're getting ready to go into TikTok has this big thing once a year, which is kind of what kind of catapulted me last year, right when I started, called Live Fest, which is getting ready to kick off. And they started a new show, I think a few months back, called it's called like Live something, Live One. But anyway, it's its fourth season, and so they're flying me out in December to I'm going to be at TikTok, actually at TikTok headquarters in Los Angeles, like 2 days in December and one in January. So I'm gonna be at the NAM show in California. I'm gonna basically be in California probably more than I'm in Ohio in January or December and January. So and it's all a lot of it has to do with all the TikTok thing. I mean, it's weird. It's like literally become my life, which is so bizarre. But if you would have told me this a year and a half ago, I'd have been like, "You're crazy." But this is where I'm at now. Yeah.
I remember us
Mm.
talking about it when, we've been friends for years now. And I remember us
Yeah.
talking about it when you started this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this sort of the genesis of this was COVID, right? You just started just to reach an audience and
Well, yeah, but I wasn't on TikTok. I wish that's my only regret. I wish I would have jumped because I have friends that started on COVID, like during COVID, and they're like they've got like millions of followers because like it was like on steroids during COVID, as you can imagine. I was actually on another streaming platform on Twitch around that time,
that's
and
right.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
another one of the guys that actually was doing TikTok. I didn't even know TikTok had TikTok Live, and then they reached out to me and said you should come over check out TikTok, and I was like, what? I didn't even know they did this, and they kind of pulled me in over there. I did a couple, and it just kind of started, snowballing pretty quick. So that's ended up making my new home.
Well, I'll get with you one-on-one on this. And I know it probably the stars won't line because they're pretty far away drive wise, but I'm actually going to be in San Diego for a few days mid-January.
Oh, nice.
Maybe there's a way I can get to LA and see you, but we'll talk about that privately. That would
Yeah,
be
that's
amazing.
great.
That would be amazing. So, are you touring in 2025?
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing more like music festival dates more than anything else, kind of in, whether it be here or across seas. I signed with this new kind of PR management agency, but they're all UK based because like, I'm doing so much EDM kind of dance music now that whole scene is like as you know, is huge in Europe and the UK. So they're out of the UK. So that's where I imagine probably a lot of my touring will be across seas is what I'm guessing from the kind of response we're getting over there.
It's amazing. So, no Texas dates then.
Maybe. You know how much I love Austin, and
Yeah.
I played Dallas before. The Dallas, I think it's called the Dallas Theater, right?
Could be
Uh, and
Dallas Theater.
yeah, yeah, that sounds right. And then I played Houston a couple times. Austin, I played a million times though because obviously South by Southwest. My old manager was there too as well, so I would be there quite a bit.
When you played in Dallas, did you ever play in Deep Ellum, like trees and things like that? Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I mean, the theater we played there a couple times, and it was like I said, it was almost looked like a would have been like maybe a old school movie theater that they converted into a club.
The Granada.
That's it. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
The Granada on Lower
yeah,
Greenville Avenue. Yeah.
yeah.
I used to run a restaurant across the street from them, and I'm actually friends with the owner still, Mike and Julie. Hey, Mike and Julie, if you're listening. So
Nice.
let's yeah, they're great. So all right, I've got you for on borrowed time. So Freekbass and I are going to talk Penguin, and then Eric Viola is going to join me at some point, and we're going to talk a little Star Wars news from obviously Fanboy Garage. So that's the show. So thanks for tuning in. Let's just jump right to it now. Freak, you and I, and you and Bob Seska have geeked out over the years on everything Batman related. I have talked about this show on this show several times now. Now I have not done a show since the finale, but
Yeah.
I want to almost angle this in the 20 minutes or so I have you here and talk to you almost like I just want to interview you because I'm a fan of yours and I know you're a fan of the show, and that's
Yeah.
how I'm approaching this conversation. So give the audience a little framework on your history of and love for Batman lore, and then how that led into your expectations for this show.
Yeah, well, I've always, as you know, I've always been, I mean, obviously a huge Batman fan like we all are, anybody watching the show is, but I've always been from more the school, the Nolan, more grounded version of Batman. I mean, I like the Snyder stuff, and I did like Batman versus Superman, which we've talked about on the show. But I like Batman being everyman, and where it could actually happen. And obviously this series particularly really leans into that, but still I still think really honoring the source material. It didn't go as far like as say like Joe. I mean, I still like Joker quite a bit. I even like the sequel, which I know I might be in the minority in that. But Joker definitely was a full different take on the character and the source material. Where
And you're talking about Todd Phillips' first film, Joaquin Phoenix Joker film, right?
correct. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. I was
Making
saying
sure.
that was obviously way off center where Penguin and obviously the Batman and Matt Reeves' whole take on it, obviously it's kind of in the a little bit more in the Nolan world but still very grounded. And so yeah, Joker's always been my main jam. And I was like, when they even announced, I loved Colin Farrell and the Batman, and I was like, a series, how are they going to do, like, can they stretch this for 7 or 8 episodes, and now I want them to stretch to 16 episodes, if they can, after seeing it. So he's like, I mean, I saw, I don't know if it was you, Rick, or I saw it, someone else posted it on one of the socials where it was like, it was like a picture of Heath Ledger and Colin Farrell together, and it's like kind of like the epitome of like the best take of these characters on film.
Yeah, that's a really that was a great response. I go back to The Dark Knight, and because I'm with you, I like more gritty, realistic, well, grounded Batman. And
Yep.
let's face it, and what makes the Nolan trilogy brilliant, and what makes Matt Reeves' universe it appears to be equally brilliant thus far,
Yeah.
is the fact that at the end of the day, we're still, let's take The Dark Knight for instance. That felt like you're just watching Heat, but with these, kind of quasi fantastical characters in it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so brilliant. But at the end of the day, you're still talking about a guy that's a vigilante that dresses up like a bat, and he's battling a fucking clown in the middle of a major American city. It's crazy on the surface, but that's what makes that work. So to come kind of around to the Batman, if you will, for Matt Reeves' film, recap your thoughts on that movie and how you felt about it. Obviously, you like Colin Farrell's performance and whatnot, but how did you feel about the film overall and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great introduction movie. Let's put it that way. I mean, I loved it. I know a lot of people wanted to instantly compare it to The Dark Knight, but The Dark Knight wasn't the first of the trilogy either. If anything, I would compare it to more if we're going to compare those two franchises to Batman Begins. But yeah, I really dug it. I really like the main thing I like about Matt Reeves' take, which Nolan had a little bit of this, but Matt Reeves seems like he's leaning into it even more, where Gotham is such a part of the story. Gotham itself is such a part of the storyline. They obviously really went there with the Penguin, but I mean, even in from right from the beginning of the Batman, you felt like that whole world of Gotham felt like you were so immersed in it, and he really made that one of the characters of this franchise, which I really liked quite a bit.
Yeah, any of the great Batman films going back to Tim Burton's 89, Gotham is in itself kind of a character, really.
Yeah.
And Matt Reeves' universe, I feel like he even took that up a notch, particularly with this show.
Yeah.
So you like the film. I agree with all that. What's funny for me, not to jump ahead, but what the little bit about the Batman that I had problems with, that drug it down just a hair for me, that made it more of like a B plus A minus versus an A plus, was just that third act. It was a little murky for me, made it a little
Yeah.
too long. However, what this show has done, particularly when you get into episode 2 or 3, when you saw the point of view of Vic, right?
Oh, yeah, that was
Right.
brilliant the way they did that.
Oh
Yes.
my
Yeah.
gosh. It like retroactively made the Batman a better movie.
Yeah.
Just like BVS in a lot of ways, to be fair, and I've said this a million times, made Man of Steel a better movie with that, the way it honored putting Bruce Wayne in Metropolis during those events at the end of Man of Steel. It made that work better.
Right.
And,
Right.
and Rogue One did the same thing, oddly enough, with even Star Wars: A New Hope, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But to this, yeah. So that was the biggest compliment for me, is that, wow, I think the Batman is now a solid like A or A minus because of the show.
Yeah.
That's the power of the show. All right, so you had the expectations, you liked the film, you like Colin Farrell. So then, just what did you think going into it? Because obviously, a live action 8 episode mini, however they deemed it at the time, how did they refer to it, as a limited series, I guess?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we knew it was a bridge between the Batman and the sequel. So you just said, "Hey, I don't know how they're going to do this, but I'll go in with an open mind." At what point? And real quick, you love the show, right?
Loved it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely loved it. Yeah.
When did you know that we were on to something special? Was it during the first episode? Did it take a little while? I'm just curious for you.
I think it was the first episode, the last, 30, 40 seconds or so with the car when, Alberto, right, was the brother, right? When Alberto, ended up in the truck. You saw how the Penguin had this whole episode, had orchestrated this whole thing to, like with him going back to, 20 minutes before when he gave Salvatore the ring at the prison, and like, all this. You just saw how his mind was working in it, and it basically brought it all together when they opened the trunk and the finger was missing and the whole 9 yards. I mean, it was just like, whoa, this is like the way that it was almost Tarantino-esque, the way that they spun those scenes together for that scene.
I absolutely, and Sophia's reaction is like chef's kiss. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, as a performer, my God. But I'll tell you, when I loved it, when I knew I was gonna love it, is the opening scene in episode 1. Okay, he kills him, and then he's sitting there, and he goes, "Oh fuck!" And then it's the Penguin, and it was hilarious. It was very Tarantino.
Right.
And I thought, okay, and I rolled up my sleeves. I'm like, we're on to something special. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the first scene was. I mean, the whole thing was great. Yeah, yeah.
Set the tone for the whole thing.
Yeah.
So okay, as it went along, how did you feel? Did each week get better for you? Did it slip for you at all, and you get nervous? Tell me your journey of watching the 8 episodes. I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, it kept, almost like how Breaking Bad was for me. It was, and you kept using those comparisons every time I talked about the show. But yeah, each episode, I think, I think it was episode 4 is where she goes to Arkham, and that episode, I mean, that went next level, next level, and I was like, wow, we are. I mean, I was already on for the ride regardless, but it was like, this is going next level, like quality too as well. Yeah, because it wasn't just about Colin Farrell. I mean, we knew Sophia was going to be a huge part of it, and she was already showing her acting chops before that. But then when we got to that part, and then of course moving on to her gassing the whole family, and just she just became such a integral part of the whole thing. And you're like, wow, this is something. I mean, this is this feels like one of those shows that we're going to be talking about, just like Breaking Bad. Again, 10 years from now, we're going to be like, whoa, that was 10 years ago. That felt like it was like just how Breaking Bad, like, it's like came out in like 2008. And it's like, Breaking Bad feels like it came out like a couple years ago. You know what I mean? Even when I watch it now. And that's how the Penguin feels like it's going to be, like that type of show.
And maybe they'll make a spinoff called Better Call Vic. That way he has more screen time.
Yeah, there we go.
Poor Vic. I'm just bad joke, but man, his death was brutal.
Yeah, I was a little. It didn't totally catch me off guard because I didn't see a spoiler, but I did see Colin Farrell an interview with him, he said, "I know people are liking the Penguin now, but you're not going to like him by the end of the show." And I had a feeling, I had a feeling that was at least in the cards. I thought it was going to be Vic or his mom he was going to get rid of, and I wasn't sure which one. Yeah,
I need to see a psychiatrist because all I did was like the character more. Same thing with Breaking Bad. Every time Walter White became more insidious, I just liked him more. It's like, what's
yeah,
wrong with me? He poisons the kid. I'm like, yeah, but he had to do it. He didn't kill him. He knew to
right,
get him right amount. I was like defending him and justifying
right,
it. And
right.
this, I'm like, well,
That's
he had to kill Vic, and I can't. I kept posting the meme of Jack Nicholson's Joker and the Batman. It's like, well, you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
But
And
but
the best thing too, leading into not, I know we're going to go there, but real quickly, jumping ahead to Batman 2, and I know there's going to be other villains. It's not just going to be the Penguin, but I mean, like Penguin seems like a villain that's good, that Batman will take everything that he's got to try to defeat. He's not just some doofus, that dresses up, and waddles when he walks. You know what I mean? This guy's got, which, not that he was like that in the Batman, but he seemed more henchman-y, obviously, because obviously he hadn't risen to power yet, but you didn't realize how this dude's like that's another, the Heath Ledger comparison, which I thought was great, is not just the acting aspect of it, but when you watch Dark Knight, you feel like Joker, yeah, he's a madman, but he's a genius madman. And you're seeing that with Oz too, where this guy, he's twisted and he's demented, but he's probably got an IQ higher than, Mensa people, you know what I mean?
yeah, I think Ledger's Joker obviously was anarchist and just chaos. And I'm just a dog chasing a car. I wouldn't know what to do with. I got it. But
Right.
ultimately, if you look back on that film, he did he talks about it's all part of the plan. Well, he kind of did have a plan,
Yeah.
and it, in a lot of ways it worked. He turned the city. He tainted good, which was Batman, which was Harvey Dent, which was, I mean, he was not responsible for the scarring. Well, actually, in a sense, he was, if you want to get technical, because he's the
Right.
one who,
Right.
yeah, right. I mean, the whole thing was kind of, I guess, controlled chaos, where this was 4D chess or 5D chess or whatever the proper.
Right.
I'm
For
terrible.
sure.
I'm terrible with slangs, man. Or not slangs, but analogies like that. But it is uh, his characterization and the Heath Ledger Joker, to me, this is the true comparison, is that watching both those actors in those respective roles, I do not see Colin Farrell. I do not see Heath Ledger at all, ever. Not ever.
Yeah.
I referenced Jack Nicholson's Joker, which is just zany gold. Like it's amazing. And I love it to my bone marrow. But at the end of the day, it is Jack
Right. Of course.
being Joker, whereas the Joker took over Heath. The
Yeah.
Penguin took over Colin Farrell. Like they got lost in those roles. Whether, I don't know what method acting they used or didn't use, that's not even the point. I'm just talking about watching it as an observer. I don't see those actors at all. At all. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Let's talk a little bit about let's talk about that finale for a second, because the murder of Vic. First of all, I mean, you see Oswald burn people alive. You see him manipulate everyone that's even there to help him. I mean, he's an unsavory SOB, and he's got this Oedipus weird thing going on with his mother as well.
Right. Right.
Right. And that's all very Norman Bates-esque and everything. And I know there's some books and comics where there's some parallels with especially some imagery of him bathing his mother and things of that nature. But I don't, to my knowledge, the depth of their relationship and their dynamic, I don't know if that's been explored in this fashion and that detail. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm telling you that the motivation of everything that he does is really, really twisted. And that sequence where she's being hypnotized, the red,
Yeah. I think it's
whatever.
the opening of the show, basically, right? Of the
Well,
season. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm talking specifically about like episode 6,
Oh,
where
right, right, right.
she's like the hypnosis,
Yeah,
whatever that technique is that they're using,
yeah,
and she's telling the story, and she's in the moment with her son when Oz is like 12 years old or whatever, but she
right,
looks like she does now because
right,
remember the scene, she looks in the mirror and she sees
right.
herself as like the 25-year-old or whatever.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
That
Yeah,
whole sequence was wild,
yeah.
and it was
Oh,
brilliantly written and acted. Oh my
and
gosh,
super dark too. I mean, and
super.
everybody talks about the Vic scene being the darkest part of the episode, but but what I mean, that was incredibly dark. I mean, she was getting ready to kill her kid. You know what I mean? It's like it was that close. And my gosh, I don't think it gets talked about enough. Is the kid that played young Oz? I mean, man, not overacting, not overdoing the accent. It'd be so easy, a kid that age, you would think, to break into caricature, not actually like engulf yourself in the role the way he did. He didn't overact at all, and visually looked like, well, not Colin Farrell, but the makeup of Colin Farrell. Like, oh yeah, that could be the way he would look at that age. And yeah, it was just brilliant. Yeah.
It was funny. Yeah, that's very well said. To see him at that age too, where he has the big nose and he has the wobble, but he's not. The scars aren't there yet, not
Right, right. He hasn't hit
figuratively.
puberty yet, really. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, not figuratively or literally. But I
Yeah.
mean, you mentioned how twisted that whole sequence was because the mother's planning on killing her son, and you're right, and she's planning on killing him because she knows that he killed his brothers, her other
Yeah.
son. Like just to keep peeling back the onion, it just gets darker and more twisted and rotten, and whew, it is powerful stuff. Did you notice in that sequence too? I still at the end of the day am a fanboy, and when there's fun Easter eggs or things that, like, we know comic book accuracy visually
Sure.
and in modern films, especially when you have a take like this, like Matt Reeves' Riddler wasn't going to walk around with green spandex with question marks all over himself.
Right, right.
It wouldn't work. James Gunn can do that in his universe, and that's
Sure.
cool. Do it. That'd be great. That's the beautiful thing about these characters. But so, how do you make Penguin look like Penguin without him having all the cigarette and the monocle and everything? Well, it's all there. Like the monocle's not there, not yet. Although I think we'll get some kind of maybe it'll be like in Batman Returns where you see Danny DeVito wears it when he's riding.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
But his mother's got the cigarette holder.
Right, right. I've heard people comment on that. That's great. Yeah.
Yes, and this is like supposed to be in the 80s, right? Or 90s.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
I mean, if you
assuming
want to,
so.
but she's emulating Ginger Rogers from the Top Hat movie with Fred Astaire, right?
Right, 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 right. Yeah.
Which was the first nod because you see the top hat and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, cool. And then at the end, when the what's her name, the character, uh, the prostitute,
Oh,
his
right, right. I think it was Eve, I think maybe.
Eve, I think that's
Yeah.
right. But she's
Yeah.
dressed up as his mother, and she's got the cigarette holder as well.
Yeah.
I just thought that was cool. And dude, I know I'm jumping
Mm.
around, but this is the fanboy coming out of me. He gets to smoke a cigar because even in the modern incarnations of Penguin in books and animation and games, he's smoking a cigar for the most part these days anyway, which makes sense. But Colin Farrell gets out of that car at the very end, and he's decked out in the classic like Penguin tuxedo. He
Right.
even has a gold vest like Penguin's first appearance. Do you notice the top hat?
Oh, of course. Doesn't put it on, but yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I know. Yeah, just
well, he
puts it
was
on next
wearing
time.
it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
at
yeah.
some point, he had it on. Oh, and he puts it on top of the umbrella.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh,
he looks at himself, and then when she says to him, "Nothing can stop you." What did she say to him? Something like,
yeah, something like you're the king of Gotham, nothing can stop you now, or something like that. Yeah, and then of course, we know what we see next.
"Ooh." Did you
Yeah.
know? Speaking of Breaking Bad, did you notice? I mean, Walter White didn't coin this phrase, but did you hear what Penguin says? He says, "Goddamn right."
Oh, wow, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And maybe I'm reading too much into it. But I'm like, was that a little like fun Easter egg thing? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of
But
course, I mean, they couldn't have ended it, but I mean, a lot of people predicted it, but I mean, it was a prediction that sometimes you want to see what's predicted, and the bat signal at the end, it had to end that way. Yeah,
well, let's talk about that for a second. I know I've got you for just a few minutes here. So
it's all good.
there were some complaints, as there always are with fandom, that Batman isn't there. Why he's not?
Right.
All this is going on. Where the hell is Batman? What are your thoughts? Should he have been in it, or was what they did exactly what they needed to do?
I thought, I saw an interview actually with Matt Reeves too, as well, discussing that point. And I agreed with him. I think he would have taken over the episode too much. He's just too much of a big force to do that, and I thought that was a smart move. I thought they did the way they did was perfect. Now, I do understand the other side of the argument where, especially when they blew up, his place underground. I mean, that was, the whole city felt that, and it's like, Batman's not going to be like checking that out. You know what I mean? I thought that was a little bit of a stretch there to just like of disbelief, just like that Batman wouldn't be there in the mix, at least checking out what's going on. But still, though, I think it was a smart move not to have him in this. Of course, at the time you're like, oh, is Batman going to show up? But it's like I think they handled it perfectly too as well. Yeah.
I agree, and I'm actually glad he didn't get mentioned. It was better to get lost in that underbelly story,
Yep.
and then the signal. That's all you get.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
you get. The only other nod to the film, which I think is a great scene, is when Sophia's back in Arkham. Oh man, Oz really got the best of her, didn't he?
Oh,
Gets
yeah.
oh man, and
Oh, yeah.
and
That's a
she,
great scene.
yeah,
I know what you're going for. Yeah.
you might want to look at this one. It's from she claims to be your half sister.
Right. Right.
And then you notice they play Zoe Kravitz's
Right. The theme song.
her theme song while she's reading it, and the look on her face. What do you think that if you just had to guess, just fanboy out on me, what the hell does that letter say?
I don't know, but I think it's almost for sure. I mean, Matt, I saw another interview with Matt Reeves, and he was trying to be kind of coy about if Sophia was going to be in the Batman 2. He wouldn't say yes or no, but it's like that yes or no means probably yes,
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that we will see Zoe Kravitz again. And I mean, I was thinking about the Batman 2 the other day, and everybody's got their speculation who's going to be the big baddie in Batman 2 besides Penguin. And if you remember right when this whole thing was happening, Matt Reeves was dropping these little Easter eggs where there was it was like a wax museum or something like that, but it was all the original Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, basically everybody from the 66, team up, and of course Joker. Yeah, those four. So far we have Catwoman. We've got a little tease of Joker, both in the extended credit and obviously that little tease in the Batman 2. We've got Penguin, we've got Riddler. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I know everybody's speculating it's going to be or at least seems like a lot of people are speculating it's going to be Mr. Freeze and Batman 2. I think he may. I mean, you've already got set up. You can bring Catwoman back. We know Penguin's going to be in the Batman too, and they've already set up Joker, and same thing when Barry Keoghan. Whenever I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. Whenever I've seen interviews with him, he's being super super coy about what his thing's going to be in the next movie too. So I wouldn't be surprised if two, if we see those are the only four we're going to get, at least four. It's like, as opposed to trying to bring in these kind of, I don't mean this as a diss to Mr. Freeze or any other characters, but more like B level villains. Like they're going to keep it all A level villains with Batman and at least his universe.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say this: that deleted scene in the Batman with he and the Joker, I would be okay if in this universe that's their dynamic, almost a Hannibal Lecter.
For sure.
What's Jodie Foster's character's name? Oh my gosh, Agent.
Well, Claire was her first name. Yeah,
Claire
Yeah.
Sterling.
that sounds right. Yeah.
Agent Sterling. Maybe that's just his role in this trilogy is he goes to see him for counsel in a sense, and they have that dynamic. Is that deleted scene is incredible.
Oh, it's great. It's so good.
And I understand why it was taken out. It would have made the movie longer, and we certainly didn't need to do that. but it also doesn't fit anywhere. Like
Right.
where the hell would you even put this? But it's a great scene, and I wouldn't even be mad if they opened up the next film with it.
Well,
Like,
and don't forget now we've got three. We've got you got Sophia, you've got Riddler, and Joker have all had their time, or either in currently or past time in Arkham now. So
yeah, it's a great point. But
yeah.
obviously, Penguin Oz is going to be. I can't wait to see him own the mantle, own
Oh yeah.
who he is. He is the Penguin. Now I've got one fanboy request. Okay, I understand no one wears a monocle anymore, but
Right.
maybe there's something they can do. I mean, we got a cigarette. He's got to wear the top hat, but I do, Freak. I gotta have one scene where, at the very least, he stabs someone to death or beats the hell out of them with an umbrella. He's got to
Oh
have
right. So the umbrella's got to be used as a weapon in some way. Yeah.
somehow just come on, Matt Reese, throw us a bone, implement that. I mean,
Yeah, and you could do that in a realistic way, but very easily. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, because that's so iconic.
yeah.
You know, or he hides bombs underneath the umbrella. Something you got to do.
Sure, sure.
I don't want him flying around.
Right, right.
Yeah, although I think Colin Farrell would. He's such a fanboy. I love it. He was giddy in a podcast I listened to about finally really getting to look like classic Penguin at the end of that show.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what a great actor.
Man, I mean, we always knew he was, but and for him, I think it's probably a little bit of vindication because remember he played Bullseye and like the not very critically well received Daredevil with Ben Affleck back in the early to mid 2000s, and he was still really good in it, but the film wasn't great, obviously, but that was his probably biggest comic book role up to that point, and so to actually, it's not Marvel, it's DC, obviously, but to come out and I mean. I'd be shocked if he's not nominated for an Emmy. Both him and the actor that plays Sophia too, as well.
yeah,
So,
what's her name again?
man, she was in Wolf of Wall Street too. She's great. Yeah.
I'm so terrible with names. Anyway, she is absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
My wife says I overuse this term, but I'm going to say it anyway. She's a tour de force in the show.
For sure. I mean, the
Oh
show
my
is
God.
almost as much about her. I mean, well, it is almost as much about her as it is us. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I had her name, by the way, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll remember her. That's her, and then I forgot. I was like, shit, this is why I should make notes.
Mhm.
But she's phenomenal. The whole cast. All right. So any final thoughts? So you got a plug or something? We are talking about some music stuff you're doing at the top, but what else you got going on?
Again, you can always find me, online. It's at Freekbass, FREEKBASS. I'm on there. Usually 6 nights a week, 9 p.m. Eastern time and 11 p.m. Eastern time. I do 2 shows a night, but like going into this next month, I'm going to be on there pretty much nonstop because of TikTok Live Fest, this big event they have happening over the next month. So stop and see me there. I'm Freekbass at Blue Sky. Yes, no. Yes, I just started that account not too long ago, or started making it active. And yeah, the new spot, and all the other normal places you'd find, Instagram, all those good places too as well. Spelled just, I don't know if it's coming through forwards or backwards, spelled just like that. Yeah.
That's so incredible. Oh, you are the best of fandom and humans, my friend. All right, let's get together one-on-one about California dates and just see if those stars align.
All
But
about it.
I know you got to jump. You got some bass lessons, right?
Yeah, yeah. I teach. That's another thing I do is I teach bass lessons too as well. So yes, I got some students coming up.
What a bunch of lucky students.
I really enjoy it. I love because it makes you remember how you learn. It's great. Yeah.
That's incredible. All right. Well, listen, thanks for doing this. Aaron's going to jump on here in a couple minutes. And Freak, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it. All right. We'll see you soon. All right.
Seeing you, Rick. Thanks for having me on. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I mean, he is the coolest guy ever. I swear to God, we got off, and I'm not going to make this anything political on the show. So I'll just say this, that I have removed myself from X. So I had a couple of different handles, and they're all gone as of today. Friends from Work is still there, and but I'm taking it down today, and we moved everything over to Blue Sky also. I have my reasons, they're mine. It's all good. But what I want to say is going back to like the original Twitter prior to the crazy transition of everything. I am so grateful for the years I was there because I met. They say that Twitter is not real life, and in some capacity it is. And I've met real friends there, friends I would not probably have met without the platform. And Freak is one of them. And his wife is amazing. I consider him a really good friend at this point. We text, I think, literally daily. He and Bob Seska and I kind of have our bond. And anyway, just if you're a fan of music, look this guy up and check him out. I mean, he's been on covers of bass magazines, and he's written and played with some crazy badass high profile people and just amazing musicians all over the damn world. But like, he's played with Steve Vai, Betsy Collins. Like, he's such a badass. So thanks so much, Freekbass. I'm gonna see where Aaron is, and I've got some time to fill here. So while we're here, I'm gonna so this is live, and I don't I hope I don't have to edit this. I'm gonna let's troll Aaron real fast and see if we can see if how do I have him in my phone? Aaron, so weird. Like, okay, hold on just a second. I'll call him on the on speakerphone. But yeah, and one of the things I love about Freekbass also is just his passion for DC, and that's really ultimately what this is all supposed to be about, right, guys? Escapism. And we're about to talk about the one fandom, the one franchise that has a really tough fandom they have to deal with, where it's like toxic politics in the confines of said fandom. Let's call him. Hopefully he doesn't. Let's see what he does here. If y'all can hear.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, you're on speakerphone live on the show. Where the hell are you?
I'm coming right now.
Damn it. Come on, Virola.
I know. I'm coming right now.
Virola. Get your ass in here.
Virola. Don't mess it up. Don't get twisted.
Oh my God. If you guys have followed the show over the years, like Aaron and I go way back. He's also a badass I met online. Aaron and I met online on Twitter, arguing about Hayden Christensen's Force Ghost and the Star Wars Special Edition of Return of the Jedi. And it was like a full-on, like, bare knuckle Texas redneck versus this Puerto Rican from Long Island, New Yorker. And I thought we were going to hate each other, and he's turned out to be a great friend. His insight on Star Wars is like is good as anybody I've ever talked to. And he's a great guy. And he and I have met in person versus I have not had a chance to obviously meet Freekbass yet. But man, Aaron and I have met several times in New York. He's met my oldest daughter, my stepdaughter, my wife, etc. But okay, here he comes. Looks like he's trying to get in right now. But yeah, we're gonna talk Star Wars, and there is a lot of Star Wars news that's happening right now, and I can't wait to dive into this because Star Wars is my favorite franchise. I say this a lot. Like, it's Batman is by far my favorite fictitious character, and a great Batman movie is unmatched. But just as a franchise, like, there's something magical about Star Wars a lot of it starts with John Williams' score. It starts with the original films, particularly the first one, and going into Empire Strikes Back. And it is a mythical, mystical, beautiful, enchanting, fun, romantic franchise that has now, I mean, I saw the first Star Wars movie in its re-release in 1980, right before Empire, or right after Empire Strikes Back came out. Yeah, because it came out in 77. I think that's right, 76. Rocky, Superman the movie, and Star Wars. I get those confused sometimes on the year. They were between the three of them. They were 76 and 77. But you talk about a franchise that has endured, and I started following Darth Hamill, which is Mark Hamill's son, on Blue Sky. and he put up a tweet today that just said, "Any Star Wars fans, follow me," and they did, and I thought that, to me, like Luke Skywalker's son, putting that out on Blue Sky for everybody to follow him for your love of Star Wars and the celebration of Star Wars is what it's all about. Aaron,
What's up, dude?
what's up, dude? I'm hyping you up here, but I'm in mid show. So, and I hate that you and Freak missed each other. I love when I get to talk to you both, but I'm just talking about Freak and I just talked about, we were just talking about the Penguin and Batman 2 and all that good stuff. And then I was segueing into dude. So segueing into Star Wars chatter and how this is my favorite franchise and why and where it all started. But it also comes with a really difficult pain in the ass
Fandom.
fan base. But before I have you share your story, and you sent me a text. It was when you actually, let's just do this now so it doesn't get forgotten. You sent me a text, and it was you were in a Galaxy's Edge with your kids last week, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to paraphrase. I'm going to read a private text, obviously online, but tell us what you said to me about, hey, you know what? I wish that all the toxic fandom can see what I see now and see. What did you see? People from all over the world celebrating Star Wars?
Yeah, that was, it was awesome because for all of the, I mean, we called it the fandom menace, right? Everyone calls it that. It's a beautiful place to be because it is a manifestation of, everyone's love for a universe that was created so many years ago. And it, people are flooding that park with like the food and the energy and everything that comes with it. And it's just, all the stores are like loaded with people who are looking to buy the next thing. People are in there like grabbing lightsabers, but they're walking around with Baby Yoda or like, some other, a porg on their shoulder. Everyone is expressing their love for this franchise and for this culture, frankly, that was created by George Lucas so many years ago. So it's like, it's funny because in pocket communities, everyone's like, this movie sucks. And hey, when you get to Galaxy's Edge, all of that shit melts away because you are literally immersed in the world of Star Wars, regardless of whether or not you like Rey or you hate the Mandalorian or you love those characters or whatever. Like getting to see that, getting to experience that is nothing like I've ever had that before. And it was awesome for me because I love this franchise probably more than anything else in the world. When it comes to like pop culture, I love my children, obviously. But like from a pop culture perspective, like when it comes to franchises, I mean, that's the thing that I love. I will, I consume everything that is Star Wars. My son is 5 and he couldn't believe it. I mean, to plop a 5-year-old literally into a different world physically is such an amazing thing. Disney World, like that's those parks, that's part of the magic, right? That gets created. But for something like Galaxy's Edge, you literally feel like you are in the movies.
You
and
do.
That was the awesome. My son felt like he was like, "Are we in a movie, Daddy? Is this real?" I'm like, "Are you like this is real? Like, yeah, you're going through all of this. Like, Kylo Ren almost got us, and like." We did the Rise of the Resistance.
And how old is he?
5.
He's 5, and he's
like I was watching his face,
and he said, "Kylo
I missed
Ren."
some of the ride because I'm like looking at him.
Kylo Ren almost got us,
dude. When the stormtroopers are shooting at us and things are sparkling, he's ducking.
Yeah,
like
Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is his Darth Vader in a lot of ways.
His Darth. Well, actually, it's not. He loves Darth Vader more than anything. Like,
okay, fair
he
enough.
knows the big bad is like Darth Vader.
Well, he's a little bit more in tune because of his old man.
Yeah.
But the point is that there's a generation of kids that grew up, and 5 is actually too young. Come to think of it,
that
grew up with the sequel trilogy, and that's theirs. Just like the '90s babies, and theirs was the prequels, and we talk about this all the time. The OT was you and I. It's generational, and certain generations don't want to especially in the post-internet world, don't want to let go of the generation they came from. They want Star Wars to be like it was for
It,
them.
it's
And
nostalgia.
it's
Nostalgia will always be better than when you when you rewatch something, right? It's like that's what it is. It's like you can't beat this. And I'm pointing to your our heads, our minds, our memories. Like you can't beat that feeling. You can't beat that. So like I get it when you watch something that is new that potentially treads familiar territory, it feels like a bastardization because nothing's ever going to beat that. We saw that this weekend, for example. If anyone watched that Tyson Paul fight,
wow, you're going there, huh?
Honestly, it's our expectation, our memory, our nostalgia for who Mike Tyson is was trumping the reality of the situation, which is a 58-year-old man going up against a 27-year-old kid. He was never going to do what our minds thought he was going to do.
Well, he's also a 58-year-old man that's been sick and damn near died 2 years ago, and never.
The
The whole 9 yards. But
anyways,
your point stands. So let's segue into. We're going to stay on Star Wars, but let's talk about some recent news because this franchise is certainly doesn't have a shortage of news, and what has happened just in the last week or so is, first of all, what is the gentleman's name? I got to pull it up because I'm always terrible with names. And Simon Kinberg, who's an accomplished writer, producer, director. I mean,
easy on the accomplished director part.
Well, you don't like his
some of his stuff is all right.
What do you like and what do you not like?
I like when he produces and I like what he I like some of the stuff that he's written. I'm not really a big fan of his directorial, him as a director.
Well, I don't think it's confirmed that he's directing any of these.
I don't think he is. I think what they're doing is what was missing on the sequel trilogy, which is a consistent writer from start to finish.
Yeah, I think that he's writing it, and I think that he's going to be producing it with Kathleen Kennedy. But now there was a Rey movie that was about her, a standalone film,
right? And
that has now the writer of that film has exited stage left,
right?
There was a film slated for December of 2026. It was untitled on Disney, Lucasfilm, whatever, on their calendar. That's now been replaced with Ice Age 6. Real simple. The Rey standalone movie is going to be the new trilogy.
It's the introduction for
that's where she's going in this. And I text this to you yesterday. Anthony Daniels, who we love, C-3PO, puts on the Twitter, the X that I'm no longer on, by the way. Done. But anyway, puts on there, C-3PO is the love and work of my life. He's not done. Can't wait for the new saga. Hold on. I text this to you. I got to find it. What? Come on, help me out here. Where's the text I sent you on this thing?
Hold on.
So as we're pulling it up, so I'll say this. I read that and I went, holy shit. And I said, I was texting some friends privately. And I said, I guarantee you that thing's going to be deleted within an hour. Kathleen Kennedy's probably seizing his assets right now.
It said the saga isn't over yet. I do. And I bet he has. Oh, no, that's what you wrote. That's what he said was like, the saga isn't over yet.
The saga isn't over yet. Yeah, but he says it's the.
Here it is. C-3PO has always been and still remains the one for me. The saga isn't over yet. The work of my life.
The saga isn't over yet. So he just spills the beef. So yes, there's going to be a. I got to put this away because work is blowing my phone up right now. Is that I'm recording this at night? Leave me alone. But the saga is going to be. The new trilogy is going to be a story about Rey, and it's going to have a lot of the obviously the legacy characters, and that's okay. Like it's okay because it works. Like there's more stories to tell with Poe and Finn. There is, like, bring it on. Have new characters around them. World build. I'm all for it. Paul Herman from Comic Book Binge had a great point, and it was a private text, but this is not something. I mean, he would just say this anyway. He was saying, make the Skywalker name mean something more than just a name. Like it's a household name. Own it. and make Skywalker mean something even bigger. And I agree with him. Like, think about some Jedi Order called the Skywalkers, and generations from now.
I thought that's where they were going with Rise of Skywalker.
Well, and maybe in a sense they did. I mean,
no one was called. My name is, whatever, something Jedi.
it has to start somewhere.
Whatever, sure.
But the point is,
I get it. I mean, they're gonna have to evolve it that way. I think. I'm of two minds. Like, I see where you're going with that, but like, Jedi is such an inherent part of the lore. We've never, in cinematic form, we've never met anything that's outside of that. The closest we've seen to that is on the dark side of the Force, which is the Sith, and then you've got your Inquisitors, which aren't necessarily Sith. They're they're dark side users. But on the Jedi side, it's like you're a Jedi, and then there's like random Force users who are like, not.
I don't think it replaces Jedi. I think it's
that's an order. Are you talking about Order of Skywalker? Is that
okay? If we're gonna get super technical, then let's 86 that terminology that I said that specifically. I just mean part of maybe it's a type of Jedi, maybe it's a Jedi state of mind, maybe
like a master. A Jedi master is now called a Skywalker.
Yeah, there you go. Or something like that. Yeah. Not replacing Jedi. They are.
Yeah, it could be an interesting parallel between, they talk about the living force and then like the metaphysical force. I guess that's what it's called. Like a spirit force is like two separate bits. It's like I'm gonna butcher this. It's gonna make me sound like such an uneducated Star Wars fan. But like Qui-Gon Jinn is like one of the first users of the living force, right? And that's how he's able to manifest himself as a force ghost. Versus some of the other Jedi, he taught Yoda how to do that, and then they teach Obi-Wan, and all of those things happen, right? And so it's that bit. I could see a world where like that combination of Force user is called a Skywalker, because that's from a Jedi perspective, that's how I would see the saga sort of working its way up the chain.
Okay, I'm here for it. Just be good. And I think that hiring this gentleman to oversee a trilogy is smart. I really like, in borderline, in many ways, love the sequel trilogy, but I can understand having a more cohesive vision from day one probably would serve the story. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about that, right?
I mean, look at how. I mean, I say this loosely because I'm sure people will be like, I don't really like what's happening in The Mandalorian, but like, look at how consistent The Mandalorian has been over time, with some, obviously some dips in the road, but like, that's Filoni and Favreau.
It is, and it'll be really interesting to see the film, to see how that ties everything in. I'm excited for the movie. I'm excited to get Star Wars back on the big screen, and I also want them to chill a little bit. So I'm glad that there's not a 2026 film, because here's what we have so far. We have, because we're going to have Mandalorian. We've got Andor 2. We're about to have the Skeleton Crew, which I think is going to be a fun palate cleanser. You know what I mean? Just come on.
Like I said, I consume all Star Wars. I will watch it because it is Star Wars. But like I said, like we talked about before, that's not made for me. That's one of those things where I'm going to sit my kids down and be like, be treated to a Goonies-like Star Wars adventure that I probably don't give a shit about, but go for it.
Hey, listen, but the bond that you can have with your kids about watching it, that's kind of maybe the point.
And you know what? The bond is greater when you put them in front of Empire Strikes Back versus like, because he'll enjoy it, I'll enjoy it.
You're such a purist.
You know what I mean?
All right, whatever.
I mean,
but your kids are already invested in the franchise. It's a gateway.
Yeah, my son is. My daughter could give a fuck.
Well, my daughter could give a fuck.
My daughter could give a fuck. Like, she's like, okay, Daddy, can
all right, but maybe this show is what brings your daughter over. I don't know. It looks fun. Like, let's just have fun with that.
It looks cute.
It looks cute. It looks super cute.
Yeah.
And as long as it's just fun and it's
but get ready for the vitriol, because Star Wars and the word cute like has never really been in the same sentence together.
Yeah, I know. And these
People
are the same.
hate that.
These are the same.
Ewoks,
These are the same.
porgs.
Well, these are the same people that say this that are like fanatical about the prequels. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
Zippity, Anakin, and his little pod racing buddies, and all that sequence in the Phantom Menace. Give me a break. This is actually not an episodic thing that's following an epic trilogy like that film did. This is just
right.
it is
The-
unapologetically what it is. But anyway, palate cleanser, and then we go into Andor, which is one of the very few projects where
Best of Star Wars.
where fandom kind of behaves themselves at least temporarily.
It's elevated Star Wars, man. That's what that is.
Hey man, I don't look at it. I don't look at it. I don't hold it in that high a regard, but I really like it a lot.
Yeah, you were struggling with it. I remember when I've watched it like 2 or 3 times.
It's great.
It's amazing.
It's great. It's almost too good.
I mean, but that's the thing. I think that is a Star Wars that appeals to our sensibilities as older fans. I think that's exactly what that does. And has nothing to do with the Force. We've seen none of that. None of that is in there.
No, I think that Andor is almost what is actually the Star Wars that plays in people's heads of what the rest of the franchise is. It's like, no, but Andor is that thing, that serious, epic. It's the only thing that's ever really been epic with Star Wars is the first one, because you can't recreate that.
Right.
There were the first 3, really. That was just a magical time. It was a different time in filmmaking and movie history. And
I disagree with you to a degree. Like I'd put an asterisk on that. I'd say like true, but asterisk. Like I think The Force Awakens is lightning in a bottle. I think you can't repeat that.
No, I would agree. I mean, there's a reason that film did $2 billion.
I mean, just the Chewie we're home. Dude, I remember I've watched that trailer so many times. I watched people lose their mind over that thing. I saw people lose like crying in Times Square.
And make no mistake, one of the reasons that mainstream audiences, and I hate to say this because I'm a prequel apologist and I could get my ass kicked for this, but hear me out. One of the reasons that people were losing their mind over it is because it didn't look like the prequels.
No.
And people knew that this was going to be a Star Wars of yesteryear, more of a nod to the original trilogy. It's just a fact because that was an intentional marketing. I mean, everything. I mean, when it was showed, J.J. Abrams was doing some kind of fundraising thing leading into that film. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I remember. And he was giving like little snippets of like bringing some of the Macquarie artwork, like when he was on Jakku.
Correct.
I remember that.
And then it would show him on location, and then he would have, creatures literally walking behind him.
Yeah.
Right, and you're going, oh, so this is this isn't CGI.
It was going like we're doing practical.
A lot of this is practical.
This is a junk collector over here.
Correct. And so there was a lot of that obviously is what it is.
And there were, what's funny, what I remember about that time? There was an interesting like sparring thing happening between him and Zack Snyder. Do you remember this? Like where like Zack Snyder was like using I think it was like lightsabers to light Batman and Superman.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? And then there was like another one where they put like, I think they were on the bottom of the Millennium Falcon and there's like a Batmobile like stuck to it somewhere.
That was a lot of fun, actually.
That was really cute. And then we all watched BVS and we're like, what the fuck happened here?
Hey, man.
I'm kidding.
Our boy Freekbass just got off the show. It's talking about how much he loved that movie. Man, let's respect our guests. Now, I know I've said this a million times. I like an hour of that movie a lot.
There are some beats that are good.
There's some great shit in that film.
Yeah. I'll watch that Batman scene over and over.
There's a lot that stuff with Alfred and Batman and the Batcave, and there's a lot of good stuff in that film. Yeah. It falls apart the last hour. It goes to poop. But moving on. All right. I know we're both a little pressed for time here. So I want to put a bow on this. All right, so we're gonna get a new trilogy. We agree that the slate being moved is not a negative. Let's do it right. I think that if they stick with this guy, let him write, let him produce. And by the way, they have to like kind of this has to work. Like they have to not cancel this again. Like
let's be honest about it. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. The exiting the original writer is old news. And when I say old news, I don't mean as in like the breaking of the news was old. Like let's be honest. This Disney is a well-oiled PR machine. Okay, they're gonna give you bits and pieces of things when they've already like passed. It's already had its shelf life. So like the exiting of that writer probably happened months ago. Simon Kinberg has probably been signed on months ago and is probably already writing or has already written a first pass at this.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So like everyone's this is all done to like either rile you up or to like squash you down a little bit and get you calm. But they've got a window that they need to hit.
Look, you're right. When these announcements are made, the guy wasn't fired at 8 a.m. out of nowhere. And
then the story broke. Yeah.
And the story broke at 9 a.m. That's not how this works. This has
Right.
been a slow burn.
Right.
And there's been meetings on a million ways to handle this and what it all means. And you're right. Simon has already been there, already working on it.
He's already working on it. That's probably why they cleared the slate, because they're like, he's already got an idea for his treatment.
Yeah, he's developing a script. I think that's probably technically true, but let's face it, he's written
hell yeah
something very tangible that that Kathleen Kennedy is giving their thumbs up on.
Right.
So between
no more Ryan Johnson film.
Well, here's the deal. Look, I think that there's a certain point where obviously he's not ever doing a trilogy, but I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him back around to do something in Star Wars at some point.
I would love for some more Ryan Johnson.
Oh, dude, tell me about it. He The Last Jedi is a fucking masterpiece, and I will die on that hill. I don't care how many more films come out. I don't care about the backlash. We have it. We own it. It's out, and that is top tier Star Wars for me. And I just is, and I still to this day watch that movie going, what the hell is everybody watching?
Yeah,
like this is so good.
Yeah,
I mean, not every beat and every scene is good, but the only Star Wars movie that's perfect is Empire Strikes Back. Let's face it.
Yep.
But man, it's up there. It's top 3 anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so okay, just to recap: Skeleton Crew, palate cleanser, 4 kids. We can enjoy it with our kids or whatever. And hell, you never know, but
Andor.
We may even like it. Andor's going to rock the house. We'll do the Mando Grogu film, and then we'll go into a new trilogy. The franchise is going to be fine. They just have to like land all this. I want to see more.
Land it for who though? Here's the thing. Like, if they're creating Star Wars for a new generation, doesn't matter if you and I like it. Honestly,
land it. Matter. All right, land it. That's fair.
It's gonna land regardless. Like that's the thing.
Well, maybe that's more what I meant. Like just make the motherfucker happen.
Yeah,
like
it's gonna happen.
Let's just make this stuff happen. Well, there's been a lot of cancellations, a lot of moving things, and this and that. Let's land. That's what I mean by land the ship. No matter the reaction, that will come with the territory.
I will tell you one quick thing, right? So like all of the things that have like not landed, the one thing that comes to mind is Boba Fett, right? Where there was a movie, James Mangold was involved, blah 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 blah. But let's be honest about Boba Fett. Again, what I was talking about, nostalgia and like what our minds do. Boba Fett has like 30 seconds of screen time. Like, who gives a shit, right? And then you get his story in the show, and it's like, yeah, I don't really give a shit about this guy anyways. The Mandalorian is so much better. Now, granted, they may have stolen elements of what makes the Mandalorian Boba Fett so cool, but like, who cares? They gotta weigh their options here. So I think
it's an underrated show. Go ahead.
And fine. At the end of the day, this thing's gonna land. It's gonna spark a whole new segment of fans that love this thing, right? They're gonna, there'll be parents who watch the sequel trilogy and be like, "You want to know where Rey got her start? Let me introduce you to the sequel trilogy."
That's right.
Meanwhile, you and I are rolling in our graves going like this, or
that's
you
right.
going like, "Over the Rise of Skywalker."
Wow. I'll leave that on YouTube.
Yeah.
But anyway, but listen, that was charming to the last.
Sorry.
No, it's all right.
Launch.
It's funny. Yeah, that's
Your
the New
ratings are
York.
going to go through the roof.
I told you a little bit. Like we got to launch our own show, The Texan and the New Yorker.
Oh my
A
God.
Texan and New Yorker walk into a bar. That's the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
It's there.
Shit writes itself.
Let's take it. What are you doing?
Let's do it.
I can flip all the friends from work stuff.
Let's do it.
Easy. It's it. Are you serious?
I would do it. I mean, look. Let's see how your fans for this show like go. Oh yeah, I really like that Aaron dude.
Well, so what, dude? I'll still bring on my own guests, and you can bring in your guests. And
I have no guests.
Yeah, you. What? I'll book your damn guest. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Let's talk 101. I love you, buddy.
Yeah,
all right. You're top 5 favorite people on the planet to talk Star Wars with. That's big because the other 4 are also pretty damn awesome. So I won't even name the names. One of them was just on, but this franchise and geeking out with loved ones, friends like you guys, man, dude, that's what it's all about. Your story at Celebration is what it's, or not Celebration, but at Disney World, Disneyland World.
No, Disney World.
Yeah, lands in LA. I always get that mixed up.
No, it's actually Hollywood Studios. But
whatever. I've been to Galaxy's Edge. I was there in 2019. It was insane. Insane. I walked around the same as you. Like, oh my God, I'm here. I'm on Tatooine. This is incredible.
Yeah.
But,
dude, I bought a lightsaber. I didn't make a lightsaber. I bought a lightsaber. Dude, okay.
All right. We love Star Wars. Love you.
Yeah.
Plug. Where you at? Are you going to join Blue Sky?
I'm on Blue Sky, bitch. I already sent you a message. I sent you a message. I'm following you.
Oh shit. All right,
I should probably have changed the my little tag here. But yeah, you guys can find me at Alora. That's ALOVIRALORIV 25. It's my name backwards.
Why did you do that? Anyway, find us or find whatever. Right now, we're going to talk more. Right now, it's Friends from Work Pod, Blue Sky, Facebook, YouTube, right here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Rick Shew, over and out.